I just smacked myself on the side of the head. Hello, good morning. It's been a while. So today I'm doing a 24-hour readathon spontaneously because I realized I have a lot more books on my TBR that I wanted to get through before the end of the year, and today's the 19th of December, which means I don't have a ton of time before the year ends. This readathon I told myself would start at 10 a.m. today. It's currently 10:33. I'm about to hop in the shower to wash my hair because my hair is really gross and I need to film a video later today, so I need to have clean hair for that because it'll look better. But I thought I'd come in really quick and introduce this video. My main goal is to finish The Raven Boys because I've been reading this since last month and I really want to finish it. It's not that it's not good, I just haven't made the time to sit down and read this. So that's my main goal. I would like to finish this, and I'd like to read either The Girl with the Louding Voice or Home Before Dark. I haven't decided quite what I want to read yet. I feel like this would be a lot easier for me to get through just because mysteries and thrillers are a little more my thing, and Riley Sager is known to be a pretty good author. I think I've read one of his previous books, Final Girls. That's what I read previously. I owned it, got it for really cheap at Barnes & Noble, and read it, didn't really like it, so I gave it away. But I'm hoping Home Before Dark will be better. I've heard pretty good things about this one, so I might go into this next, and then if I can finish The Raven Boys and Home Before Dark, and I still have time left in the 24 hours, I think it would be a good idea for me to start Crooked Kingdom because I do want to read this. I read Six of Crows earlier this year while I was listening to the folklore, and now that Evermore is out, I did a poll on my Bookstagram and asked them if I should listen to Evermore while I read this, and everyone said yes, or most people said yes, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I don't know exactly how the music's going to gel with the book yet. I don't think it will. If it doesn't work out, I'm just going to go back to folklore because folklore gives me major like Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom kind of vibes. So I feel like the only song off Evermore that really fits this is No Body, No Crime, but I'll have to like read it and listen to the album to figure that out first. I'm wasting precious reading time by ironically filming, so I'm going to go jump in the shower and then start reading for the day and hopefully not get too distracted. So this will also be good for me because I'm trying to get better about vlogging in front of people. My sister's here right now. My roommate is visiting her family for the holidays, so it's just me and my sister. So she's gonna make fun of me while I talk to a camera because what else are sisters for? So my sister just moved out of the way because she doesn't want to be in my vlog, but you'll probably hear her at some point. It's been like an hour and a half since I vlogged. It's 12 now. My hair is washed. We're sitting on the couch. The Amazing Race is on, but I will be reading. I have The Raven Boys here, and hopefully I don't get too distracted. I will do a little bit of I'll zoom in so my sister doesn't have to be in this, but then I'll do a little bit of a reading montage so you guys can see whether or not I get distracted, which will most likely happen. There's only 15 seconds left in this like ad spot, so once that comes back, we'll see how long I can keep my focus on this book while The Amazing Race is on, because right now there's ponies and Viking stuff going on, and I like ponies and I like Vikings too, so I'm gonna get a little bit of reading done. So it's been B, you're in the side of the video.
Oh.
No, you can be if you want.
I think that's what's in my mouth.
So it's been a few more hours since I last checked in with you guys. I don't know how much you can tell. My hair is completely dry. That's the only way I know how to prove to you guys. And also it's significantly darker in the day. It's dark outside. We haven't eaten dinner yet. I just consumed a lot of potato chips. But I'm on page 282 of this. So I read 124 pages. I just smacked myself on the side of the head. I've read 124 pages so far, and man, so like because I didn't read all of this at once, there's obviously stuff that I'm not as familiar with because I don't remember everything, but also I know that this is in general a pretty confusing book slash series because you have to really pay attention really closely to know what's going on, and I'm enjoying it though. I do think I need to probably pay a little closer attention going forward. I can easily finish this tonight, I know, because I have, like, there's 409 pages, I have about that much left, so it'll be pretty easy for me to finish this tonight. And then, I don't know, I'm debating whether or not I should stay up for the 24 hours, because I haven't actually done much reading so far, and I started at 10, what time is it now? Almost, I keep checking my watch when it's like almost hitting the next hour, so like, we're about 8 hours in, and I feel like sleeping would just be kind of a waste of time, so I might finish this tonight and try to read all of Home Before Dark. We did go grocery shopping earlier, and I did film a video, so that took up some time, and I also just didn't read for the first couple hours, so maybe that was just dumb on my part not to spend more of the day reading. But as long as I get this done and I get a good bit of the way into Home Before Dark, I think I'll be okay. So I'm going to continue watching a little more of The Amazing Race and probably eat a little bit and then get back into reading and update you guys when I've done a little more of that. Maybe do another little reading montage. So I just finished The Raven Boys, and I'm in my room because I'm gonna put this back on the shelf. So, ooh, I gotta move these candles first. Give me a second. We are putting this book back here, and my books fell. Random fun fact. This art print of Luke from Addie LaRue is one of the first things I see when I wake up in the morning because of where my bed is positioned. So, in a way, it's like Luke is watching me sleep, which is really creepy. And I noticed that a couple weeks ago. Don't know how I feel about that. Maybe you should move it. I don't know. Anyways, you might notice the lighting situation in my room is different because now I have these. And they're very nice. And I like them a lot. They're so much better for my room. And they're exactly what I want. So, solving my lighting issue one at a time. In time, I'm probably going to get more lights that are white lights. I'm hoping to get one for my ceiling light. I'm hoping to change out my lamp eventually, but I did make the first step towards getting new lights, and I like it a lot better. It just lights the room much more nicely than my overhead light. So yeah, that's a little update that you guys really didn't need to know about, but I'm telling you anyways. So I've decided I'm going to pick up Home Before Dark next. Is it a good idea to read this? Probably not, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm actually gonna go finish the episode of The Amazing Race that I was on before I stop to read The Raven Boys, and then I'm going to start this because I want to at least get a good portion of the way in before I settle into bed for the night and read more of it. I don't think this is a very long book. I'm gonna say it's like 370 pages, so I think I can read all of that tonight. I can stay up. I don't have anything to do in the morning, so I'm fine with staying up. And yeah, I'm proud of how much I've read so far today. It's really nice to have that accomplishment of finishing pretty much most of The Raven Boys all at once. I did really enjoy it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, that's a little update that I wanted to give you guys because it was time for an update. Okay, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't tell if I'm in focus or not. Hopefully I am. But I'm in bed now, and I'm going to read a little bit of Home Before Dark, which I realize is actually horror and not a mystery. Don't know if this is the best idea for me to read before bed, but I did read the synopsis, which said that it is basically like the Amityville house horror, which I know is fake. I know it's still widely regarded as one of the best paranormal mysteries like out there, but I know that the people who wrote it have since said that it was fake and they made the whole thing up, so that doesn't really scare me all that much. And I also just recently listened to the My Favorite Murder episode about it, so I am familiar with the premise of that story. I have tried other stories that are kind of like this before. I tried The Haunting of Hill House as a Netflix series. Couldn't get through it, but I'm not really great with visual horror. I can read horror and be less affected by it, but watching horror seems to be worse for me, so I think I'll be fine. Sorry, my arm is shaking. This camera's really heavy. Yeah, I think I'll be fine reading this. I'm gonna try and get at least 100 pages into it. I'm not super tired right now, but I'm gonna try and get at least 100 pages into it. It's about 400-ish pages, I think, is what Goodreads said. So yeah, I want to get like a good chunk of the way in before I decide whether or not I'm gonna stay up more to continue reading this or what I'm gonna do exactly. Okay, so I'm holding my camera as it's balanced in a weird position because I don't want it to fall. I read the first 104 pages of Home Before Dark, and while it definitely has the creepy vibe, it's definitely made me question every sound that I've heard in the past hour. I can't say that I'm entirely scared, but then again I am the one making the decision to go to bed now. The book's good so far. I didn't realize it was told in two perspectives. So basically this story is from the perspective of the girl whose family like had all these events happen to her, and she's telling it in the modern day after her dad has died, and she gets to go back to the house and figure out if everything actually happened. And the other perspective is the book that her dad wrote about their experience at the house, and it's pretty much a play on the Amityville house, I guess, Amityville Horror. I don't know what that book is called. It's based kind of on that, like how this dad wrote the book and everything became really famous. It got a lot of money, got a lot of recognition, and the main character is trying to figure out if everything's real. She doesn't believe that it's real, but obviously there has to be something going on, so it's probably gonna be something that like, oh, there is actually something real going on. If not, there's just a bunch of weirdos trying to like make the house haunted, and they've been trying to do that for like hundreds of years or something. Yeah, it's reminding me also a lot of basically the plot of The Haunting of Hill House, which I think also inspired by the Amityville horror. Really no, horror is not my genre in general. I just don't really like that. I don't like being scared by things. I put the book on my nightstand, so I'm not gonna reach for it. It's not bad so far. I'm getting mostly a neck cramp from reading like this, and I just kind of want to go to bed. Will I be kept up by this at night? I don't think so. I don't really know. I mean, I'm gonna listen to My Favorite Murder as I fall asleep, so I feel like if I can listen to a murder podcast to fall asleep, I should be okay. I also used to listen to the Black Tapes to fall asleep. While that freaked me out just a little more, that was mostly sound effects stuff, and so I honestly feel like I'll be okay. I get why it's more in the horror genre than the thriller genre as of right now. I've seen some Goodreads reviews. I just wanted to like look over and see what people who were on my friends list who had read it thought of it. And from what I can tell, people are a little torn between whether it's horror or thriller. Some people say it's definitely horror, some people say it's more in the thriller category. I don't really know. But I think this is probably going to be the last bit that I read for this readathon. I'm looking at my phone, it's 1:20. Depending on what time I wake up in the morning, I may or may not read some more. If I'm up before 10, I'll read more. If not, then this is going to be the last that I read for this readathon. As of right now, I've read 355 pages, which is pretty good. I wouldn't say that's a ton. That's definitely not as much as I was hoping to read, but considering I watched like 4 or 5 episodes of The Amazing Race, went grocery shopping, filmed another video, I'm good with this. Like, it really doesn't. My goal was to just get in more reading, and my main goal was to finish The Raven Boys. And I know I wanted to read all of Home Before Dark, but having read the first 104 pages, I mean, I'm happy that I started the book. I know I didn't really like Riley Sager's debut, which was Final Girls. I didn't really like that all that much. I figured out the twist pretty early into it, and I also just didn't like the way he wrote women in that book, but I am fine with this one so far. I don't really have any issues with it. If you're curious about my full thoughts on Final Girls, I will link the review down below, and I don't think I can link it in a card because I don't think I have enough subscribers for that yet, but I will link it in a review down below. I think it's one of my monthly wrap-ups, either my June or July wrap-up, something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of this uncomfortable position, put on my murder podcast, and go to bed. Also, I left my water bottle outside, and I'm annoyed. So the readathon is over now. It's actually been over for a couple of days. I just never got around to filming my wrap-up. This seems to be a thing with me. I just don't film the wrap-up, or I don't get around to putting everything together at the end. But I wanted to do a quick recap of what I read. So starting off, I finished the last 250 pages of The Raven Boys. I think it was 250. It was around there. And I really enjoyed it. I wish I had read more of this all in one sitting. I think it was a little hard for me to get back into the book when I first started it because it'd been a while since I had read it, and I wasn't sure exactly what I remembered because it'd been like weeks, I think, at least 3 or 4 weeks since I had actually picked this up. So I was confused for a little bit at the beginning, but after like 4 to 7 chapters, I got back into it and I kind of knew what was going on. I'm not going to spoil anything, I'm not going to say anything. I feel like everyone else has read this book except for me, but I think Noah is currently my favorite Raven boy, followed very closely by Adam. I don't entirely know how to feel about Ronan or Gansey just yet, but I'm pretty sure Noah is my favorite Raven boy so far. I really enjoyed my reading experience with this, just like I knew I would, and it's definitely one of those books that you have to pay a lot of attention to while reading because there's so much going on that you do have to remember a lot of things and you do have to pay attention to a lot of little details. If not, you get kind of lost, especially as they're trying to find this Welsh king and they're discovering all these things about ley lines and energy. I will say that if you're the kind of reader who's not into stories like that, if you're not into super detailed and complex fantasy stories, I wouldn't even call this super complex, I would say it's decently complex for fantasy. But if you're not into that kind of stuff, this might not be the read for you because it is a little harder to get into when you have so many things going on and you have to keep track of all these things. Having to remember a lot of details might not be your favorite thing at the moment. Also because this has a lot of perspectives, so switching between everything and trying to keep track of what's going on from each person's perspective can get a little confusing at times if you're not paying really close attention. But I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm really glad that I read this, and I'm really glad I finally picked it up because I know a lot of people love it. My sister read it and loved it. One of my really good friends, Maggie, read it and loved it, and so I will be continuing with this in 2021. So that was my first goal complete, and I know that I wanted to at least try to read another full book. That didn't end up happening, partly because I spent so much time watching The Amazing Race. I did a lot of other things too. I filmed a video, I went grocery shopping, I washed my hair, I made dinner, all those things. I could have read more if I had watched less of The Amazing Race, but I was giving myself like little breaks in between, so I would read a chunk and then I would watch The Amazing Race and then I would read a chunk and then I would watch The Amazing Race. And eventually my sister and I called it a night, so I went to bed and I picked up Home Before Dark. So I've read Riley Sager's work before. I read one of his books back in July, I want to say. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was July. It could also have been June. I'm not entirely sure. I read Final Girls back then and I owned it, but I've since donated that copy because I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I had guessed the twist pretty early into the book, and also I wasn't a fan of the way he wrote his female character there, or her relationship with her boyfriend, or just how she conducted herself in a lot of ways. So it felt very much like a man's fantasy of what a woman is, but I knew that Home Before Dark had gotten a lot of really good reviews, and so I wanted to give it a shot and see what I thought of it. I haven't really picked it up since the readathon ended. I'm 112 pages in, so I would say that I enjoyed it so far. It's not the scariest book ever, which is good because I don't do very well with horror. Does it creep me out? Sort of, yes. I think that mostly had to do with the fact that I was reading it at night, which I feel like is kind of the only way to read scary horror thriller books. I wasn't necessarily terrified. Then again, I did stop when I hit the 104 page mark. I could have kept going. It was 1 in the morning. I wasn't especially tired, but I could have kept going. And I think me being scared of the fact that I could be scared was what ultimately led me to stop reading this. I did read the first 112 pages. I did drag myself out of bed for a little bit in the morning to read a few more pages before like the full 24 hours was up. So I got in a little more than just the 104 pages that I stopped at when I first picked this up, if that makes any sense. So far, I would say I'm enjoying this. I think it was an interesting read because I don't read a lot of horror. Why I'm reading horror in December, it's currently December 22nd, and why I'm reading it so close to Christmas, I have no idea. But I'm enjoying it so far. I would say that as of right now, I'm enjoying this a lot more than Final Girls. So I will be continuing with this book even though the readathon is now over because I do want to finish it. I do want to see what my opinions of this are. I also do plan to eventually read Riley Sager's 2 other books. This is just the one that I had heard a lot of hype about recently and my library had it closer to when I could pick it up. So I just got this instead because I was like, I feel like I would enjoy this book. So that wraps up my 2 reads of the readathon. Did I read a lot? Not necessarily. Did I read over 300 pages in 24 hours? Yeah, and I'm pretty happy about that because it'd been a while since I had really pushed myself to do a little more reading and sit down with a physical book that wasn't the Lock and Key graphic novels. I'm very proud of what I did. It could have been more, but still 350 pages is pretty good. I would love to know what you're reading for the rest of this year and if you're trying to squeeze in any more books before 2020 ends. I know I have at least one more book that I would really like to try and fit in before the year is over. We'll see how that goes. But that's all I have for this video and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!